This is our vending machine. It takes in an input of a clock, a reset, 1 nickel or 1 dime, and the outputs are vend, which only will occur if we reach an amount of 40 cents. And if we reach an amount of 45 cents, then we'll get change. So here's our state machine, our state diagram. As we get a nickel, we'll go to 5 cents, and then as we get a dime, we'll go to 10. Based on if we get a nickel or a dime, we will go through each state until we get to 40 cents. Now, if we get to 40 cents, our vend will equal 1, but change will still be 0. We won't give change, and it'll return right back to the first state and reset the amount in our vending machine. If we skip the 40 cents and we get enough change where it goes straight to 45 cents, vend will equal 1 and our change will equal 1 as well. So we'll dispense change as well. And then afterwards, it'll go right back up to state 0. So let's look at our code. The way we do this is we gave a clock, a reset, a nickel, and a dime input, as well as an output of vend and a change. So if we get a reset, then it'll go back to state 0, and based off of our finite state machine diagram, state 0 is 0 cents. So however, if reset is not equal to 1, then we'll look at the clock event, and if it's right on a rising edge, then our next state will be equal to our current state. So in state 0, which is 0 cents, vend and change will be 0. But if we get a nickel and a dime is 0, then we're going to go to state 1, which is 5 cents. Else, if we get a dime and we don't get a nickel, then we'll go to state 2, which is 10 cents. Else, we'll stay at that state. Then, when we're in state 1, that's the 5 cent state. Vend and change will have not changed by then, so it will still be 0. If we get a nickel, then it'll be 10 cents, which will go to state 2. If we get a dime, it'll be 15 cents, which will go to state 3. And then, of course, if nothing else happens, then it'll stay at that current state. Once we're in state 2, that's the 10 cent state. Vend and change will have not changed, still be 0. If we get a nickel, then we'll go to the 15 cent state. If we get a dime, then we'll go to the 20 cent state. And again, else the rules hold. Once we're in the 15 cent state, if we get a nickel, we'll go to the 20 cent state. If we get a dime, we'll go to the 25 cent state. And this trend happens all the way until we get to 40. And if we're at the 40 cent state, then vend will equal to 1 and change will not be dispensed, so it'll be equal to 0. So then we'll go back to the original state. And this will happen if we are at state 30 and we get a dime, or if we're at state 35 and we'll get a nickel. But if we're at state 35 and we get another dime and we're at 45, that will really be the only case where that'll occur. Then we will get vend is equal to 1 and change will also be equal to 1. And the next state will be equal to 0, so it'll reset back to the beginning. So here's our test bench, and we have our reset, and it'll be going. We're gonna reset as soon as we start our simulation, just because we want to make sure that we are starting from a clean slate and starting from state 0. And then we're gonna wait for a while until we reset again, just to show that our reset works. Our clock will be going fast. All right, so our nickel and dime will be 0 and 1, or it will be 1 and 0, and it will never be both. And at the end, we asserted our 2 outputs just so that our signals show. So here is our wavelength. It starts at 0, we reset at 0, and we're just gonna walk through this. So on our after our reset, on our first positive edge trigger, because this is our clock, this is our reset, this is our nickel, this is our dime, this is our vend output, and our change output. So on the first positive edge trigger, we're going to get a nickel, which is going to be 5 cents. Then on the second positive edge trigger, we're still at a nickel is 1, so it's going to be 10 cents. Continuing on to the next positive edge trigger, right here, our dime is going to be up a 1, so that's going to be 20 cents. On the next one, our nickel is going to be back up, which is 25 cents. We're still with a nickel on the positive edge trigger, so that's 30 cents. On our next one, it's going to be a dime, so it's going to be 40 cents. And as we see, as we hit 40 cents, vend is equal to 1, but change is not. We're going to go through one more iteration, and then I'm going to show you the change, how the change works. So after our first one, we can try to see if it works again. So on the next positive edge trigger, you've got 5 cents. Moving along to the next positive, we've got 15 cents, and then 20 cents because we're adding 5, 25 cents because we're adding 5 because of the nickel, 35 cents at our next positive right here, and well, right here, 35, and then at the next positive, 35 plus 5 cents, which is 40, you should vend, which is, it vends right there. So this continues on. I'm gonna show you when changes works. So here, this is our reset up here, and we can see that our reset is up. So we're not gonna get, no matter what the input is, we're not gonna get any type of vend output or change output